Hare Krishna. My Dandavat pranams to everybody. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. So today is Sunday, the 20th of October 2024. And we're continuing reading our Damodarastakam. But today, Pujapat Madhav Maharaj's Parikrama, they visited Imli Tal, Seva Kunj, Radha Damodar, and Sringaravat. The places that I said yesterday, they're visiting today. So we can mention something about them when we start. But we'll have a kirtan first, sing the Damodarastakam, and then we'll go into my Gurudev's description of that.
Damodarastakam
Ganhabika Gadit Hari. Aradha Damodar Ju Ki Jai. Shri Radha Govinda Ju Ki Jai. Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai. Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadastha Shishimad. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadastha Shishimad. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadastha Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadastha Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Savabhoma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Varantacharya Ki Jai. Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Jai Swarav Damodar Rai Ramananda Gaura Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautarandvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritudvip Janadvip Motandvip Rududvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Bhadravan Bandiravan Belvan Lohavan Mahavan Madhuvan Talvan Kamudvan Bahulavan Vrindavan Kadiavan Kamyavan Brajamandal Ki Jai. Jai Shishi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasavard Matmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Punamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketra Mandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vanasa Karishina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charadam Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Charya Ki Jai. Akara Matraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshav Ji Jyotia Mat Ki Jai. Shri Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Go Prayanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Magnati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shvapadantikam Priya Surupe Daita Surupe Prema Surupe Sahajaga Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swabala Surupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranavartino Kalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Tikatamba Satipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katra Juhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Vinidustam Sarvaputam Hridin Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karana Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandrat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarsara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasada Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again to all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavis devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhabevacha Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavena Namaha. So, yes, today the Parikrama party is visiting from Gopinath Bhavan. They'll come out and go straight into Imli Tal, where we remember Krishna in separation, manifesting in his golden complexion as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we walk up the street a little bit and we come to Sevakunj, which is the third yoga pit of the day, the meeting place of the day in Sevakunj. And that's a very ecstatic pastimes there. And then we come around down to Radha Damodar temple, and there are so many pastimes in Radha Damodar temple. And then we come to Sringaravat at the end. So that whole journey is a very beautiful parikrama. So that's the parikrama that the devotees are doing today. But we're coming to our study of this Damodarastakam. And yesterday we were immersed in the appreciation of Krishna's supreme beauty, his absolute beauty, his stunning beauty. Everything about Krishna is just so beautiful. And I put a file on the WhatsApp thread showing how the beauty represents the angi. It's the principal quality of Krishna. And this is what we described yesterday. And we went through these different verses spoken by Lord Brahma, spoken by the Brahmanis when they went to meet Krishna in the forest, and spoken by Uddhav. So we had these beautiful verses describing the beauty of Krishna, Krishna's exceptional beauty. So today we've reached page 20, and we're continuing with the same topic. So Sri Narayan is also beautiful. Attracted by his beautiful form, Lakshmi remains engaged in the service of his worshipful feet, day and night. However, as soon as she remembers the sweetness of Sri Krishna within her heart, she longs to see his sweet form directly and resolves, since I cannot obtain entrance into Ras Leela, I will watch it from a distance. What is the reason for this eagerness? It has been said that the incomparable form that Sri Krishna manifested within the Rasa Leela in the assembly of the gopis was never exhibited anywhere else. What is that form like? His form churns the mind of even Cupid, who agitates the minds of all, for he is directly the original transcendental Cupid. When we reference Cupid, we're referencing the personified form of love itself, the personified form of sweetness is the Cupid that we're mentioning. But Krishna is like billions of Cupids, even more so than that personified form. And Lakshmi Devi, she's enchanted by this form that she's perceiving during the Rasa Leela. And she wants to leave her husband, Lord Narayan. In the first verse of Sri Damodarastakam, Sri Satyabrat Muni describes the very same enchanting form of Sri Krishna as a 2.5-year-old baby running away from Mother Yashoda. As he fled from his mother, he repeatedly looked behind him with terrified glances. His earrings shimmered on his cheeks, and his neck was decorated by 3 graceful lines. Other than the auspicious gold cord around his waist and a pair of ankle bells clasping his worshipable lotus feet, resonating with unsurpassed charm, his tiny form was completely naked. We didn't read this yesterday, did we? No. The conclusion that the manifestation of Sri Krishna's beauty is relative to his devotees' love for him is also established by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his Sri Brihat Bhagavatamrita. The unique qualities of Sri Bhagavan's beauty manifest in accordance with the unique qualities of his associates. So Krishna is reflecting his beauty back to his associates. So when Krishna is with the gopis, for example, he's at his pinnacle of beauty. When he's with Mother Yashoda, he's also at the pinnacle of his Vatsalya, his childlike beauty. And with Nanda Baba also. So there's this mood of reciprocation always in Krishna and his escalating beauty, depending on the association that he's keeping. In order to bestow his mercy upon the souls who were indifferent to him and to bless them with Braja Prem, the love exhibited by the eternal inhabitants of Braj, Sri Krishna manifested his beautiful form as a fresh youth, the best of dancers, dressed as a cowherd boy, holding a flute in his hands. This very form of Sri Krishna is the origin and basis of all his forms in Mathura and Dwarka, and is also the source of all other avatars. So this form of Brajendranandan Shamsundar is the basis, it's the pinnacle, it's the origin, Swayam Bhagavan, that's the original, is Brajendranandan Shamsundar. There are so many other forms, so many other avatars and so on. They all have beauty, they all have so many transcendental qualities, but the culmination of all of those rests in Brajendranandan Shamsundar. And we said that verse yesterday, Ete Kamsa Kalapum Sam, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. That Sri Krishna is the principle of all avatars. Even though the main subject of Srila Sanatana Goswami's commentary on this verse is Sri Krishna's childhood pastimes, he has quoted a description of Sri Krishna's beautiful form exhibited at the time of the Rasa Leela in order to convey the extraordinary glory of that particular form. So even though we're talking about child Krishna in this Damodar Leela, Sanatana Goswami has referenced the exquisite form of Krishna during the Rasa Leela. And my Gurudev has taken that and opened that right out, just for our deeper appreciation. We're appreciating Krishna here as a child, and we're appreciating the relationship of Vatsalya Bhav, of Mother Yashoda towards baby Krishna, which is heart-melting. But we're also appreciating simultaneously the original form of the Lord in the Rasa Leela. So the whole picture is being presented to us, the entirety of it is. Nothing is being left out. In chapter 9 of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of Sri Damodar Leela. So now we come back to the Leela after that description of beauty. Many gopis constantly complained to Sri Yashoda, "Your son steals from our houses and eats our butter. Or Yashoda, worse than that, he throws milk, yogurt, and butter everywhere. If he actually ate it, it would be all right, but he doesn't. He smashes our pots of milk and yogurt and unties the calves. How can we tolerate this daily loss of milk and yogurt any longer? We have all decided to leave your settlement of Braj and live elsewhere." Why does Krishna steal the milk of the gopis? Because he knows that they love him. He knows in their hearts they're actually making that milk for him. They're making that butter for him. So he's reciprocating. That's what he's doing. He's reciprocating with the elder gopis and taking their makkan and so on like that. But of course, Yogamaya is covering it to make it seem like a village pastime, which is what Krishna wants to sit in. But at the same time, there's this understanding that Krishna is fully reciprocating with the elder gopis, even to such an extent later on in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, he becomes all of their sons. So this is how munificent, how kind, how generous is Krishna. Mother Yashoda heard these complaints every day. She began to wonder, could it be that my darling boy finds the butter that comes from his own home not tasty? Is it sour? Is that why he doesn't eat it, but instead sneaks into the houses of other gopis to steal their butter? I wonder if butter stealing was a regular habit in Vrindavan before Krishna manifested. I don't think it was, I don't know. The children, they go from house to house stealing butter? I don't think so. In Radhakund, children go house to house looking for butter, looking for sweets, looking for something. I think this is just unique for Krishna. If that is the case, then today I will prepare sweet butter for my dear son with my own hands. He will surely eat that and not go to others' houses to steal their butter. It was the festival of Deepavali, so she gave leave to all her servants and maidservants. She personally milked Mangala, Ganga, Pisangi, and other cows, and then boiled the milk until it started condensing. When it was the right warmth, she added yogurt culture to it, and then in the early morning, she personally set to churning the freshly cultured yogurt. As she was churning, she became completely immersed in love for her darling son and began to sing. As the churning rod rotated back and forth, it made a deep reverberating sound, dik, like a large drum head of a mridanga, and also a tapping sound, tan, like a small drum head. Thus the full sound of diktan, diktan. The full sound was diktan, diktan. The meaning implied is that any soul who does not worship and remember Sri Radha and Krishna leads a life that is so dull, tan, and he is no better than an animal. Such a soul is condemned, dik. Do you understand that? Can you explain that?
Yes, because in Hindi we say that like dhikkar hona, you know, in Hindi we say that. So dhik is from there, that word dhik. Yeah.
Diktam, diktam, the sound, mudam, the sound.
Yes, yes. Tan.
Diktam, diktam, the
Yes.
sound.
But why does that indicate that the tan sound is indicating that you are so dull?
Maybe it's a dull sound.
The sound of the mridanga is not dull. I can't quite understand this analogy actually. The meaning in...
Actually, another book I read, when is Krishna take Makhan and anything, that time bell and Damodarastakam, they are also cannot stop. They automatically they sound.
Go, sounding, yeah. But why is it saying the meaning implied is that any soul who does not worship and remember Radha and Krishna leads a life that is so dull, tan, that he is no better than an animal? Well, we can understand that, of course, that someone who doesn't embrace Radha and Krishna's worship is like an animal. But why is that indicated by the sound of tan, dik? I can't quite understand that.
Tan in Hindi it means ki whenever a person is singing in a proper.
This is according to the mridanga. We're just playing the mridanga here. It's because the sound of the dik and tan.
There is
It's
the
done
Goswami
actually.
telling, when Krishna eating, that time bell, we are
Yes,
calling to bell.
yes, yes.
Then bell telling, today Krishna eating Makhan, why I am stop? Then
Oh.
they are sounding.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, I'll have to think about that more. As she churned, the ringing of her bangles sounded like the ringing of cartels. Lost in thoughts of her darling son, she started to sing. In this stotram, Sri Bilvamangala Thakur has also described how Mother Yashoda began to sing in this pastime.
क्वचित् प्रभाते दधिपूर्णपात्रे निक्षिप्य मन्दं युवती मुकुन्दम् आलोक्य गानं विविधं करोति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति.
Sri Govinda Damodar Stotram 19. Once at dawn, as Sri Yashoda Devi was about to place the churning rod in a pot of yogurt, she gazed upon her child Mukunda. At once she became overwhelmed with love and sang this wonderful song. O my Govinda, my Damodar, O my dear Madhava. Sri Krishna, the darling son of Mother Yashoda, forever begs parental love from his mother. Sri Yashoda was completely absorbed in the moods of her song and was brimming with affection for Krishna. So Mother Yashoda is the embodiment of Vatsalya Prem for Krishna. When he heard her singing, her voice saturated with love for him, he could not restrain himself. He began to think, every day Mother sings little songs with great tenderness to awaken me. But today she has not come and I am so hungry. Krishna is in another room. The Supreme Lord of everything, who is independently blissful and self-satisfied, Atmaram and Aptakam, was hungry. He began to cry loudly for his mother's breast milk. So he's in another room, and this mother is singing. The sound of the churning rod, diktan, diktan, is going. The sound of her ankle bells, bracelets are going. Mother Yashoda cannot hear this. My dear Lord, how glorious you are. On this day, the effect of Sri Krishna's crying remained unknown to anyone. It simply merged into the fathomless ocean of Mother Yashoda's parental affection, for she was so absorbed in her Sankirtan that she was unable to hear him. With great difficulty, Kanaya, who was lying on his belly, moved little by little to the edge of the bed and then got down. We described this yesterday, how he climbs down. Rubbing his eyes and crying, he somehow made it to where his mother was churning, tottering like an intoxicated elephant along the way. He caught hold of the churning rod and stopped it from twirling. Mother Yashoda's absorption broke. Seeing her darling son at her side, she immediately sat him on her lap and began breastfeeding him. Just by seeing her dear Krishna, her limbs became decorated with all the Ashtasattvika bhavs, those 8 types of bodily transformations arising from ecstatic love of God. Furthermore, the special emotion of motherly affection manifested, namely milk, began to flow from her breasts. According to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, baby Krishna is the Vishaya Alamban of Vatsalya Bhav. That is, he is the object upon which motherly love depends. His mother, Sri Yashoda, is the Ashraya Alamban, or the reservoir of love for him. Alamban means the reservoir. So she is the reservoir of love for him. Krishna is the Vishaya, the object of that love. Baby Krishna's gorgeous face is the Udipan, or the stimulus that rouses motherly love. And Mother Yashoda's tears, the standing on end of her bodily hairs, the flowing of milk from her breasts, and so on, are the Sattvika bhavs, or transformations of ecstasy in her body. This is a very rasic description of actually their relationship. This rasa is in Vatsalya ras, but this Vatsalya ras is so potent. I can remember when I first heard my Gurudev describe this Vatsalya Prem of Mother Yashoda. This was so heart-melting, because this is probably easier for us to relate to than the Gopis Prem. We can remember mother and the mother's love, etc. It's more simply accessible. So when these descriptions come, we can hear them very easily. All of these ingredients of love, namely Vibhav, Vishaya Alamban, Ashraya Alamban, and Udipan, Anubhav, deep emotions that are realized through outward expressions of the body, and so forth, then combined with Mother Yashoda's own Staibhav, namely Vatsalya Rati, and began to make her relish Vatsalya Ras. So these ingredients of rasa are fascinating to appreciate, how they mix and how this ras will manifest in the world of the heart. What is the nature of rasa? How does it manifest? Suddenly the milk started boiling over, as if it were thinking, Mother Yashoda's breasts are the source of all the milk contained within all the universes. Her supply of breast milk is inexhaustible, and the stomach of baby Kanaya is not at all small. All the universes can fit inside it. So all the universes are in the abdomen of the Lord. She will never tire of breastfeeding him, and he can drink forever. In that case, I will always remain bereft of the opportunity to serve Sri Krishna. Therefore, it is pointless to maintain my worthless life, a life devoid of service. Thinking like this, the milk began to sacrifice himself into the fire. So the milk began to. Practicing devotees, sadhaks, should also have this type of anxiousness. They should think, if while performing bhajan, we do not gain even a glimpse of Sri Bhagavan or realize the mercy of his pastimes and divine abode, then our lives are worthless. Deprived of seeing Gaurasundar and his associates, Sri Narottam Das Thakur says,
Ashane kutiba matha anale pashiba Gaurange guner nidhi kotha gela pabo.
so if we don't have this mood of anxiousness, this anxious greed, then what is the value of our lives? Narottam is saying, I shall dash my head upon a stone or enter into a blazing fire. Where will I find that treasure house of all wonderful qualities, Sri Gauranga? So this type of desperate greed and enthusiasm, this utsaha, must be prayed for. If it's not manifesting in the heart, we must pray for that utsaha to bring pleasure to the Lord. In this regard, it is important to carefully deliberate on Srila Rupa Goswami's definition of Uttam Bhakti, or pure devotion. So my Gurudev is putting the Leela into place for the sadhak to benefit greatly from this Leela. This whole Leela is escalating from verse 1, 2, 3, all the way through. It's an escalation of increasing bliss and sweetness all the way through. So this is the dynamic of bhakti herself. It's always progressing. It has to be moving. If it becomes static, then there's no waves, then we become despondent. It must be always increasing. So now this verse, Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishna anushilanam bhakti uttama. This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. When bhakti is performed without any other desire than the aspiration to bring happiness to Krishna, when it is not covered by the endeavor to accumulate dry knowledge, result-orientated work, or any other practice for attaining a goal unrelated to him, and when it is cultivated solely with a favorable disposition towards him and for his benefit, then it is Uttam Bhakti, supremely pure devotion. So in this verse, there are other types of bhakti that we consider also. There's a rope siddha bhakti. What is a rope siddha bhakti? A rope siddha bhakti is when I like to cook, so I'll cook for Krishna. I like to do the garden, so I'll just put the fruits for Krishna at the end. But the initial inspiration for doing that seva was not to please Krishna. The initial inspiration was because I like to do it. Or I like to paint, I like to draw, so I'll draw for Krishna. This is a rope siddha bhakti. You understand fully, clearly, what that is? A rope siddha bhakti. So there's some defect there because we put our desire first, in fact. I like to do this, so I'll do it for Krishna. It's not that I'm one-pointed, and then there's Sangha Siddha Bhakti. That's following all the qualities of the Vaishnavas without the final ingredient of absolute Sharanagati. We might perceive all the different Vaishnava qualities and aspire to attain those qualities. But if they're not focusing on the ultimate quality of Sharanagat to Krishna, to bringing him pleasure, then there's some defect, because again, it's focusing on myself. Even Sharanagat itself is not ultimately bhakti. It's the threshold of bhakti. It's the doorway into bhakti, because Sharanagat itself is about you. It's about me surrendering to Krishna. It's not about pleasing Krishna. It's about how can I surrender to him. So Sharanagati itself is the doorway into bhakti. We must be Sharanagati to begin bhakti. But actually, Sharanagati by itself is not Shuddha bhakti, because it's looking at ourselves being surrendered. We're trying to bring ourselves to that full. Krishna says at the end of Bhagavad Gita, what's that? Sarvadhamam parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Give up everything and surrender unto me. That's the essence of that Bhagavad Gita. But that's not taking us, it's the doorway to bhakti. Do you understand? Fully. These are quite subtle points, actually. In this verse, the characteristics which describe bhakti are divided into two categories, Swarup Lakshan and Tatastha Lakshan. The first category, Swarup Lakshan, indicates the intrinsic qualities of bhakti. This Swarup Lakshan is the second two lines. This is what is bhakti, the Swarup Lakshan. That's the second two lines. The first two lines are the Tatastha Lakshan, which includes the marginal qualities of bhakti. You understand? These two considerations in this verse. Tatastha is first and then is Swarup Lakshan. To communicate how our bhakti can be perfected, the modifier anukulyena, with a favorable disposition, has been used because one cannot perform bhakti with an unfavorable disposition. So then he's going to give examples of this. That is to say, one who acts in opposition to Sri Krishna cannot be performing bhakti. So now the examples are going to come. Certain exalted, realized personalities have stated that anukulyena means the tendency to perform activities that bring pleasure to Krishna, and that the inclination to please him with a favorable disposition is bhakti. That desire to please Krishna from the beginning is bhakti. However, if this latter definition is accepted, one of two faults may arise. Some things are encompassed by this definition which should not be included within a description of bhakti. This is called ativyapti dosh, the fault of overextending the definition. So, if you study that verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it explains these 2 points of atyapti dosh and avyapti dosh. These two considerations, which we're going to hear now. Similarly, it excludes things that should be included within the description. This is called avyapti dosh, the fault of under-extension of the definition. We can remember these terms because ativyapti is a longer word than avyapti. Ativyapti is longer. So ativyapti is the over-extension and avyapti is the under-extension. For example, in the wrestling match, Chanura, Mustika, and other demons were striking Krishna's limbs. Sri Krishna was certainly enlivened by their attack and began to relish the mood of being a great hero, Viraras. How can the attacks of the demons be understood as pleasurable for Sri Krishna? In answer to this, it is found in part of the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:13-30. Manasvinam iva sat samprahara. Although in the eyes of ordinary people, a terrifying battle with an enemy seems torturous, it is in fact exhilarating for the fighters. The fighters themselves go into another state of consciousness. In that case, if we conclude that the demons' horrible attacks during the wrestling match were acts of bhakti because they gave pleasure to Krishna, then the fault of ativyapti, overextension of the definition, arises. Even though these malevolent endeavors cause Sri Krishna to feel pleasure, which is apparently the quality of bhakti, they were actually strictly opposed to bhakti because the wrestlers had no desire to please Krishna. They wanted to kill Krishna. That was their desire, to kill Krishna. But Krishna was pleased to have a wrestle. Krishna would wrestle with the boys regularly in the pasturing grounds, and to have a good wrestling opponent was very pleasurable for Krishna. He just killed Kuvalyapidi, the elephant, huge elephant. How strong and powerful is Krishna? And then he came to face these two mighty, they were so huge, professional wrestlers, 5,000 years ago, massive persons. And Krishna was just a small, tender boy. And it's described how the spectators in the audience looking at this were very shocked and horrified. They didn't like to see that. They thought Dharma was being transgressed in the, in that arena of Kamsa. And they wanted to go, but Krishna was relishing it. But it's not bhakti, because bhakti is a place in the heart where you desire to please Krishna. So how could it be bhakti? It was not bhakti. So that's the overextension of the rule. Conversely, consider the example of Mother Yashoda breastfeeding Sri Krishna as he lay on her lap. At the same time, the milk she had kept on the stove was boiling over into the fire. After taking Krishna, who was not yet satisfied, off her lap, she went to save the milk. This caused him to experience much displeasure, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.6, Sanjata Kopa Spurit Arun Adaram. His tiny reddish lips began quivering from anger. Mother Yashoda's actions greatly displeased Sri Krishna. But if we conclude that her endeavor does not come within the definition of bhakti, then the fault of avyapti, under extension of the definition, arises. So very interesting points to appreciate each time. This ativyapti, overextension, and avyapti, under extension of the rule of bhakti. We have to understand what is bhakti. It's so important as we move along this path to know what is Shuddha bhakti, and to also know what is Gyan and what is Karma. We have to know the distinction. This will be discussed next. The nature of exalted devotees, Mahabhagavats, is that they want to engage every soul in Krishna's service. When Mother Yashoda saw that the milk was sacrificing himself into the fire by boiling over because he was bereft of Krishna's service, she immediately removed her darling boy from her lap and tried to save it. But this is not going into the points about Gyan and Karma. But we should understand that if just simply Gyan is being spoken without a mood of and focus of devotion, then it's very dry. And there are many brilliant Gyanis on the circuits. They can pronounce so many beautiful verses, etc. But if the heart isn't focused on developing service directly to Krishna, what is the value of that Gyan? We should understand. Two types of Gyan can be accepted. This Tat Padartha Gyan and Tvam Padartha Gyan. This Tat means about knowledge of Krishna. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, Raso Vaisa. Krishna is Achintya Sarva Shaktiman. Krishna is that Supreme Lord, that Parama Shakti, Parama Shakti. Krishna is all of these powerful truths. And if the knowledge is aimed at glorifying him, then bhakti will arise in the heart. But if the presentation is aimed at just entering into the wonderment, because the scripture is packed with all different explanations that can really excite the mental faculty of the mind, rather than bring it into the heart region where the connection with Radha and Krishna resides. It's in the heart region, not in the brain. We have to come down from there into the heart region to connect with the Lord. We use the Gyan to access bhakti, but the Gyan by itself is useless. We must understand this point carefully. So Krishna, with both of his hands, baby Krishna, firmly caught hold of his mother's breast, and with his legs he clung to her waist. He held on to his mother in this way with all his might. Putana, who had the strength of 10,000 elephants, could not free herself from his grip. But in the presence of Mother Yashoda's Vatsalya Prem, Sri Krishna, the possessor of all potency, could not stop her from putting him down. So the power of Prem, this power of Prem is demonstrated by Mother Yashoda here. Because of her mighty Vatsalya Prem, it was very easy for her just to set Krishna aside. With one hand, Mother Yashoda easily pushed him from her breast. Then she removed him from her lap, sat him down nearby, and went to save the milk. The Siddhanta behind this incident is that Mother Yashoda's love for Sri Krishna is much greater than his love for her. This is the case of the gopis also. The gopis' love for Krishna is much greater than his love for them. But Krishna reciprocates with them according to their love. Yayatamam prapadyante. Indeed, Sri Krishna comes under the control of her love. In the presence of this motherly love, imbued with deep possessiveness of all of Bhagavan's unlimited majestic potencies are defeated. His potencies of being the Supreme Personality of Godhead are completely dismantled when that immense affection is directed towards him. All that Aishwarya Bhav disappears. Here, another point is to be considered. Although the superlative manifestation of Sri Krishna's unlimited opulence, Aishwarya, is found only in Braj, it remains submerged in the fathomless ocean of sweetness contained within the Braj pastimes. That is to say, even when Sri Krishna's infinite opulence is fully revealed, it easily fits within the all-accommodating embrace of Braja's sweetness. Because Krishna's Aishwarya is always defeated by the immensity of the love. This is how we can appreciate the nature of the Braj pastimes, the Brijbasis, because their love is so immense that it will cover any exhibition of opulence, just like when Krishna is lifting Govardhan Hill. That how could you get a more opulent act than lifting Govardhan Hill? But none of the Brijbasis thought that this is the Supreme Lord, because of their effect. This is just little Krishna who gets hungry, lies, cheats, does so many things. How can this be God? They can't think like that, because their love for Krishna is so much higher than their desire to worship him. It's a very, very important point that by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, we're able to understand these points. It's all the mercy of Mahaprabhu that we're able to actually penetrate these deeper considerations of what is actually bhakti, what is real love. Mother Yashoda splashed cold water into the pot of boiling milk as if to pacify it. "I'm going to use you for Krishna's service right now," she said. "Don't give up your life like this." In the other room, however, baby Krishna was in a fit of rage. How can he be the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he's in a fit of rage? Krishna's Aptakam, Apmaram. How can he be in a fit of rage? He's not. He's a baby Krishna. Simultaneously. He picked up a stone pestle lying nearby and hit the base of the earthen pot of yogurt that his mother was churning and made a hole in it. I described yesterday how he hits the base of the pot so all the yogurt will come out. He doesn't just want a little bit of yogurt to come out. He wants to punish his mother for being so unkind to him. So he hits it down the bottom. A thick stream of yogurt began flowing all over the floor as Krishna watched with fascination. Although he was captivated by the sight of the stream of yogurt spilling onto the ground, it made him remember his mother. Consequently, he fearfully ran into a nearby room, that had a doorway leading outside. Hanging from the ceiling was a pot of butter that enticed his mind. He climbed on top of an overturned grinding mortar and started eating the butter out of the pot, and at the same time feeding some of it to the crows and monkeys who had come. We described yesterday how in Ram Leela, the crows and the monkeys, Jayata, what's his name?
Jatayu.
Jatayu, yes, and the other one, his brother?
Chimpanzee.
No.
Yes, his brother?
Jatayu.
Jatayu
Chimpanzee.
and Jatayu's brother that they met in crossing the, begins with a K. Kosamsu, yeah, this one.
Chimpanzee.
What's his name?
Chimpanzee.
Ah, okay. Anyway, the crows and the monkeys, Hanuman, Sugriva, etc.
Sampat.
Sampati. You had to dig through the archives to find it. Sampati. Yes. Sampati and Jaya.
Yes.
When Mother Yashoda returned to the pot of yogurt to continue her churning, she saw the stream of yogurt flowing from the broken pot. She thought, "This is surely the work of my clever son." Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.7, Krishna was highly skillful in breaking the earthen pot, for he did not make a sound, nor did his ornaments, nor did he make any sound in the other room as he climbed on top of the grinding mortar to take butter. Indeed, this could have only been the accomplishment of her intelligent son. By the tiny footprints of yogurt on the floor, the sweet smell of butter coming from the room nearby, and various other clues, Mother Yashoda easily guessed, my beloved son has entered that very room. Peering inside, she saw Sri Krishna standing on the grinding mortar, stealing fresh butter. She took a small stick in her hand to punish her clever child, and tiptoed into the room like a cat. But as soon as she entered, the crows and monkeys fled. Sri Krishna immediately understood, Mother has come. He leapt from the grinding mortar and fled outside towards the royal lane. Mother Yashoda also ran onto the road, pursuing her son. I explained yesterday, normally Mother Yashoda would never run in the road without fully dressing herself nicely. And Krishna knew this. He's so smart. He thought, Mother will not try and chase me in the royal roam. But actually his mother did because of her. It's like the gopis transgressing all dharma to be with Krishna. So Mother Yashoda was transgressing all social etiquette to catch her son. It's the same mood of absolute nishta to fulfill her connection with Krishna. The silk cloth on Mother Yashoda's somewhat full, bluish limbs fluttered as she swiftly ran, and the beautiful fragrant flowers that were woven into her braid began to fall as if to say, Mother, you are not alone. We are also with you. Catch him quickly. Mother Yashoda's pace exceeded Krishna's, and thus she caught him from behind. This is a tremendous, tremendous teaching that we have to demonstrate more love for Krishna to actually capture him. We're always depending on, oh, Krishna is going to love me. I'm so wonderful. This is the conditioned mentality. But actually, the reality is, I have to go forward to connect with Krishna. It's like the two different philosophies of the monkey hanging on the back, the little baby monkey hanging on the back. He has to hold on. And then there's the other philosophy of the cat carrying the kitten. The kitten doesn't do anything, doesn't struggle. So which is the Gaudiya Siddhanta? Which of the two? We actually are both. We have to hold on. At the same time, we have to be dependent on Krishna. But we have to initiate the whole relationship. We have to demonstrate by our service to Krishna. Now that's not so easy because we can do all kinds of services in the world that are more pleasing to ourselves and perhaps our brothers and sisters and relatives, etc., or friends and family than they are to Krishna. What is the principle to please Krishna? How can I please Krishna? What does Krishna want? This is not an easy consideration, genuinely. But this is bhakti.
So that means, Gurudev, always first we have to do the cheshta and then only kripa will come.
Yes.
Always.
Yes, of course. Yes, we have to do the seva, the effort. It's like in any material relationship. We have to make an effort for the relationship, and then we wait for the reciprocation. We wait for the kripa. If the kripa comes or the kripa doesn't come, that's not in our hand. But the effort can be there. We have to make the effort. But the focus to please Krishna, not to please me. This means knowing what is Shuddha Bhakti. Not that I want liberation. If I do a Radha Kund Parikrama thinking, oh, this will give me liberation. If I'm thinking, you know, there's something in it for me, then that is not bhakti. That's not going to please Krishna.
Gurudev, but the kripa is already given, isn't it? By giving the human birth.
We have it, but how much do we realize it?
Yeah.
How much are we taking advantage of it? If we are to obtain Sri Krishna, then we must love him more than he loves us. We can't just be little babies all our lives thinking, oh yes, Krishna's going to come and save me, save me, save me. Like the little kitten philosophy. We must actively move towards Krishna. Only then can he be controlled, like the Brijvasis control Krishna by their love. We will also have to love him with great intimacy, Vishrambha Bhav, with the same simple, natural attachment, Lokik Sambandhavat, as the residents of Braj. This Lokik Sambandhavat means just like in ordinary social dealings. We love him like that, in a very personal, natural way, without the Aishwarya drums, etc. Especially like the Gopas and their wives, Krishna may be pleased by love that is mixed with the moods of awe and reverence, Aishwarya, but he cannot be controlled by it. This is like the love of the Mahishis, the queens. That's called Samanjasarati. That Samanjasarati doesn't control Krishna. Krishna is not controlled by Rukmini. He's not controlled by Satyabhama. When Satyabhama becomes really upset and disturbed, she goes into the angry room. Krishna comes to the entrance of the palace and tells the doorkeeper, oh, go and tell Satyabhama that I've come here now. She has to very quietly take a bath and everything, and then come to the door. Krishna doesn't even take his flute to Dwarka. He doesn't need to break their man. He just directs them, come like this. So, he can't be controlled by the queen. And what's the name of the Rati that controls? Samartha Rati. Samartha Rati of the gopis, that controls Krishna. That completely controls him because their love is so deep. Just see, with the mood of a simple mother, Sri Yashoda naturally regards Sri Krishna as her son and chastises him. Sri Krishna is offered worship everywhere else, but when he is in Braj, he is the servant of the inhabitants of Braj. He is the servant, and the inhabitants of Braj are the masters. On the command of the gopis, he begins to dance. He puts Nanda Baba's slippers on his head and delivers them to him. Under Yogamaya's influence, he forgets his supremacy and enacts his pastimes as an ordinary human being. This is called Madhurya Leela. Sri Krishna's honey-like pastimes, although Sri Krishna's pastimes in Braj are full of opulence, that opulence does not even slightly stifle the love of the inhabitants of Braj, that the inhabitants of Braj have for him. Instead, it invigorates their honey-like love, causing it to condense even more. This is the speciality of the love of Braj. This is so important for us to understand. What is the nature of this Madhurya? This Madhurya is so rare. Not even Vyasadeva understood this initially. This was why he was despondent, and Narad had to come and bless him with a vision. This Madhurya Ras was not really on the open market, so to speak, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented. Who was exhibiting that Madhurya Ras? Very, very little, very small understanding of this. Because Madhurya must always have at the heart of it all Braj prem must always have at the heart of it. Parakya ras. This must be there. If that parakya ras is absent, then it's not full madhurya ras. It's Aishwarya. The practicing devotee, sadhak, should also desire to perform activities that will melt Sri Krishna's heart. Sri Krishna will not be able to resist him for very long. He will accept that devotee with his whole heart and immerse him in his own sublime service. So this is the end of this first verse. There's another very beautiful quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the 4th chapter, Adi Lila, verse 17. It says, Aishwarya janate shada shava jagat mishrita. Aishwarya stila prem nahi mora prita. All the universe is filled with knowledge of my majesty, Krishna says. But love, weakened by that sense of majesty, does not control me. Understand this? If one regards me as the Supreme Lord and himself as a subordinate, I do not become subservient to his love, nor can it control me. Braj Prem is about controlling Krishna through our love. The Dwarkavasis, they don't have that capacity at all to control Krishna. They all believe that Krishna is the supreme controller. He is controlling them. So these last points are very, very powerful in this commentary on this first verse. So we're talking about Damodarastakam, and yet so many points are there for our increased progressive bhakti. This is why this Damodarastakam is sung daily by all the devotees during this sacred month of Kartik, because there's just so much in it. It's packed. Shri Damodarastakam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Premanandi, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Tika ki jai. Shri Damodarastakam ki jai. Kartik Vrat ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhvaya Vaja, Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavi Namo Namaha.